What it is, what's good, how y'all feeling? Another day has come. A new chapter has begun. Brate Podcast is here. Thought I'd come back with a vengeance, come back with something a little different. Kind of sort of different, but not necessarily different. Changing my routine up a little bit. Most of my followers who were following my previous page, Silent Assassin B, will tell you that I was doing my podcast 3 days a week, 3 times a week. Well, I've decided that, like the realistic podcasters out there, I decided to cut it down to 1 episode a week. So today is going to be my episode, and since my boy needed a little bit of help with some stuff, I told him to return the favor. So I'm going to have him help me a little bit with this podcast and be kind of a low-key co-host. He'll be kind of silent, but I think I can open him up because how I initially was going to start the last podcast, I'm going to do it a little different with this one by having him give a little bit of input about a topic that he's very near and dear to, as to seeing history being broken. My boy Lonnie here. You want to just say hello? What's up? He gives the wave from the side, and I'm gonna get him. Like I said, he's playing the I'm shy card, but if I got him out on the court playing ball, just to give a little bit of history, how long we've known each other. I think it's been at least 16 and 17 years. Last time he gave me the nickname that I go by on the court, something for the people. And the funny part is, because I mentioned it to him before, he's a big part of, like, I was able to, because I know I told him I was going to try to find their music, happened to find all their music, so I got all that collected and ready to go. So he's kind of acting like my background producer, but like I said, I'm going to break him out of his shell in like 2.5. The first topic that I have, as you can read in the description, one of the history breaking moments is, can the Warriors do it? The last time I did my podcast before I took my break, I did tell you all I would be keeping an eye on this trend of whether the 2015-16 Golden State Warriors can beat the Chicago Bulls 72-10 record. Right now, as projected on ESPN's website, they have been projected to go 73-9 this year. They've broken down the chances. It's pretty high that they'll get a number 1 seed. It's a 50% chance of them making the finals, and there's a 44% chance of them winning the title. Last game was against the Clippers, and they have their next game against the Mavericks. So I'm going to get him to kind of give his thoughts on this first, because I'm going to make him mad. Just to go right to the straight question. Do you think they have a chance of breaking the record?
No.
Okay, why?
Well, it's a toss-up between 50-50 for me.
Okay.
Like the 72-10 Bulls, they was having fun. They wasn't worried about a record. They wasn't worried about beating LA record at that time.
True.
And for Golden State Warriors, I don't think they worried about this record, beating the Bulls record. They out there having fun. They out there playing good team ball, playing good small ball with winning the championship.
Right.
And as long as they're not focused on the record, as long as they're not focused on just winning for the simple fact to beat this record, they probably could do it. But then again, I doubt they not doing that. I think they are doing that.
Okay.
So, I'm going to go ahead and say no.
Okay. Now, I do want to give you all the fair background. This is my pro Jordan fan. So he know I'm gonna tell it like it is, and that's one thing about me. It's not, and I think he's putting the pro Jordan piece aside. It's more about just, can the record be broken? He's trying to. That's a good way to put it. But yeah, right now. So to look at the comparison of the two matches, right now the Warriors are 64-7. At this time, 71 games in, the Bulls were 63-8. So the turnaround of what he's saying or how he's looking at it, and I kind of can agree, but I kind of have a bit of an odd spin to it, because the pace is meaning that right now they can only lose 3 games. And looking at the remainder of their schedule, it's all going to come down to 2 things. When do they start to play do we start sitting people? Do we start players? Things of that sort. Looking at those factors, I can tell you now the next 5 games are a shoo-in. They play Dallas on today. They play Philadelphia Sunday. And then on Tuesday, they have Washington. Then they turn around behind and go, after they play Washington, then they go at Utah.
But you never know, because they got stomped by the Lakers.
This is true, and that was a tough.
The same thing about the Lakers.
That was a tough. Yeah, that Lakers game, I'm still trying to understand because we sat here and watched that, and I mean, 95 to 112 is still kind of shocking, but it's a toss up. I mean, I think the biggest thing is two factors as to why I'm in between about it, and I guess the first factor I look at is they play the Spurs 2 more times. One of those times is in San Antonio, and coincidentally enough, San Antonio is undefeated at home, so that means that's a loss. Whether we want to claim it as a loss or not is neither here nor there. So that's one game that's a factor. But they play them twice, so you have that piece that's on one side. Then on the other side, and I guess how I'm looking at it is, you also have they only have 3 games on the road, and the 3 games on the road happen to be Memphis, San Antonio, and Utah. Memphis, I kind of thought about it when he mentioned it to me earlier, but Memphis is kind of a questionable in situation strictly because of how certain guys can get off and have their moments, because we all know how Lance Stevenson might wake up and decide to play basketball one day or tomorrow or whatever the case may be. So I'm with him, but I guess we got to play the smart, safer to say agree to disagree on that one. And I'm just going to, I guess it's like almost like a tracker, because what's probably going to happen is I'm going to catch him again next week and we're going to see what games have been added since then, because in a week's time they will have played 5 games, because it will be April. It'll actually be rolling into April 1st. So if they win the next 4, then that should be an interesting conversation. I think when it gets down to about the last 3 or 4 games is when we really will see what will happen, and it comes down to sitting and starting players. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on it and see what goes from there. My next topic that I have to get into and I have to get my feelings out about is because I went into this story before, and he knows how I feel. I just have this aggressive, salty, pout mouth face mentality about one and done with basketball. Both of us are loyal, devoted, diehard Kentucky fans. I think he was from Mashburn's time, and I came in and I got on board with it when Tony Delk was there. But regardless, like, we literally have rocked with Kentucky through everything. So when Calipari came in, Calipari got there after he, forgive my filter, after he ruined Memphis's college credibility with the whole Derrick Rose situation. And it was another guy who played for them that I don't even think is in the NBA anymore. But that was when the one and done rule was starting to kind of develop and become its own. Because I think Derrick Rose's class was the second class, because Durant and Greg Oden were the first class, part of the one and done. But looking at this year's potential draft class, they have it where a few guys have already said that they're declaring. The biggest name, which everybody kind of already knew he was going to declare when he realized he wasn't going to win the Naismith Basketball Player of the Year award, Ben Simmons decided to go pro. I think you don't like that. You don't like that decision. I feel like you got some thoughts about that.
I'm still trying to figure out why he went to LSU in the first place.
All right.
That's one. I'm still trying to figure out what's the difference in the criteria of GPA or educational standards of you qualifying for the Naismith Basketball Player of the Year award,
right,
to being able to play on the basketball of your college team.
Right. Okay. All right. So I'm going to be the blind factor and throw what I think his reasoning was. And it probably has nothing to do with it, but I still would love to find out or inquire about what caused this decision to occur, because he went in high school, he went to Mater Dei High School, whose colors happen to be purple and gold. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say that's the reason he went to LSU, but I really didn't hear from him when he was in high school, even during the McDonald's All-American game last year, when he declared that he was going to college. He didn't really have I didn't really hear a lot of college choices. He probably had multiple schools that wanted him to play, but he probably looked at it as I wouldn't be surprised if Kentucky gave him a shot, but he chose LSU mainly because it was his one chance to go somewhere and literally just shine. So I think he went there and he made that decision and just kind of stood behind it. So it just kind of went the way it did, and it just was where he felt like he could kind of become like the man. Whether or not he really is going to have his... You say he did start?
From jump, right?
Yeah, he started with the team from the beginning. Yeah. Okay. He did start with them. I'm trying to see if I can get stats on him, because if I'm not mistaken,
Was there any other star that was there before?
Before him, they had Keith Hornsby, who was there. He was pretty good. Blakeney came in with him, Antonio Blakeney. I haven't heard anything about whether he's going pro. If he's smart, he'll stay. Let's see. I'm trying to read a little bit of story that they gave. So Simmons' average, from what they're showing, stated that he averaged 19.2, 11 rebounds, and 4.8 assists. So that's not a bad stat line for a freshman. I mean, remember we saw Julius Randle a few years ago have like a pretty solid stat line at Kentucky. So, I mean, it's an interesting piece to have him play at that position. I mean, and he was a 6'10" forward,
and he was bringing the ball up.
Yeah, he was doing the LeBron, as we call it. Yes. He was doing the LeBron where he was the big man bringing the ball down. But 6'10", 225, and the thing is, he still really hasn't developed as a player, because he still can develop his body as far as for the NBA. And I guess the quickest example I can think of is the year when, if you go back and look at it, when LeBron first came in the league and he looked like he was lanky and small and couldn't really move hardly at all. I mean, he was athletically gifted, but he got to the NBA and just gained more strength and got a bigger body and a bigger build to kind of meet up and catch, guys where they were as far as in size and strength. So we're going to go on that side of the draft board, and then we're going to go to what I call I don't want to say the bottom of the draft board, but a weird place, because Dwayne Bacon from Oak Hill Academy, who went to Florida State University, decided that he found it in his best interest he has an interest or a desire to want to be in the NBA draft. Now, there's a difference.
What's the difference?
His difference is he's going in. I'm sorry, let me rewind. Ben Simmons is going in, and he already knew he was going to the draft. He got an agent. He's already got an endorsement. He's planning on joining Nike. So he's pretty much going to be Team LeBron. It is what it is. I don't think he's going to he may make the profit as LeBron. It's just going to come down to how they market and brand him. But that's, all in what happens. Dwayne Bacon, on the other hand, is going in without hiring an agent. So there's a new rule that was put in place this year that allows players to come out of college and say, hey, I want to play in the NBA. But
wasn't that a rule already, though? If
no.
You don't hire an agent, you have a chance of coming back?
You have a chance of coming back, but in most cases, they've expanded the time frame. Because at one point, the time frame, I think you would have to come in. I think they gave you until early April to kind of make a decision. Now it's up until May. So if you make that choice of saying, hey, I'm going pro, you can say, oh, well, I'm not really sure that I'm really going to be a high lottery pick. Like, forgive me for honesty and forgive me for observation. Bacon's stat line was a little different because he was more of a point guard he was a slash guard, I guess, so they call it two guard. But he was averaging 15, close to 16 points a game and nearly 6 rebounds a game. So in his position, he was doing okay. And then, in the ACC, he ran into a much more competitive round. Ben Simmons did as well. As far as it was a game they played against Kentucky, and he had a pretty good stat line. But as far as how the matchups went, there were times that I saw that Bacon just was not there on the floor.
And who did he play for again?
Florida State. Wasn't really he made the choice of what worked for him at the moment, but they have him. I went on CBS Sports. I went on their link or their site to find out where he was projected to go on the draft board. Take a guess what number it was out of. No, you want to
agent?
With no agent. Yeah. I'll give you a hint.
Don't tell me he's in the 15.
He's not even in the top 30.
Second round?
Yeah. CBS had him listed as 58.
And they only draft, 60?
Yeah. Unless he's going to be D-League worthy. I don't know. You guys, I feel like you got something to say. You try not to say it.
Who told him he was that good to go to the NBA draft without an agent in the first place?
I think he's doing it so he can go back because he may not get picked. I don't think he's going to pick.
Then why take the risk? You still acting like that's still having something to prove. You're going to have something to prove if you don't get drafted high.
True.
You're going to go back to school and want to do work so that next year you could be good. Why not just say, hey, I don't even have an agent. I need to work on this. And what is he, a freshman?
He's a freshman, yep.
Yeah. The NBA not going nowhere, man. That's my motto.
I think that's the constant that we talk about and we always come back to is that the NBA doesn't have a chance of moving anytime soon. It's going to be there whether you decide to go pro as a freshman or you go as a senior. Buddy Hield is still playing in the tournament, but he's a senior, and I feel like he will probably lock up a solid lottery pick with the way his gameplay. And this isn't just strictly based on him as a shooter. It's just based on him as an all-around player. Like he's a beneficial asset to a team. Like he's somebody that you easily can say, "Hey, this is my go-to guy. This is somebody I can run with." So I mean, I don't know. I guess it's like we got to see how things go with who is coming out because Duke lost yesterday, and that means that there are going to be questions about whether Grayson Allen's coming out, whether Brandon Wright's going to come out. They've already said if Brandon Wright comes out, there's a good chance he might possibly be the number one pick, but no one will stand behind it yet. And I guess I'll give the listeners at home a bit of an update or an understanding. When it comes to few people will do this, like NFL Combine, cool. My NFL heads, you already know. I know y'all get down, that's y'all love, that's y'all thing. Lonnie and I are two people who really don't care and will sit and trip off of watching the NBA Combine as to how you have some of the top, most impressive guys either say they're not going to play in the Combine or they go to the Combine and they just look really weird. Like, I'm proud of him now, but I can really remember when Andre Drummond decided to go pro from UConn. And I think he was a freshman. Mm-hmm. And he went to the Combine and he just looked raw and confused. But he got into the NBA, and I think what helped him in the NBA, honestly, was the coach. He had the right coach eventually come in that was a center-based coach, you know. And I'm going to mess up the story because I had another topic I was going to do, but I'm going to throw this story in here because I forgot all about it, and I'm mad that I did not even think of addressing this. Have you heard the story about Dwight Howard? Okay. All right. So I guess I need to update him. He probably knows about this story, but I'll tell you all. Yes, the Stickum story.
I thought it was some deodorant.
Stickum. So now his was funny. Do you remember? So remember the show, the movie Little Giants? Yeah. With the little kids. And you remember the part when the kid had the stuff on his hand to help him catch the ball, and it got stuck on his jersey, and he kept pushing his hands out. It's similar to that type of product, but it's not really something that you need to use to enhance your game. And the funny part is, it's so many weird. This is of all the teams they played against, it was against Atlanta that they used it, that he was caught using it. To give a light history as to what happened.
It's for more grip or something.
It's supposed to be a better grip, to give you a better grip on the ball. But the thing is, you mean to tell me there's nobody on the sideline not noticing that you're using this, or there's nobody saying, "Hey, it's not helpful to your." Like, I mean, and this is my thing. I guess this is why I'm bringing this topic up to be silly. He's using this product, but he still can't shoot free throws, and he still hasn't made the All-Star game in how many seasons?
Okay, so here's my question now. You're using this product to get grip on the ball,
right?
How big is your hands? You're almost 7 feet tall. Your hands not big enough to grip the ball?
I would think they are, but obviously he needs something to get a better grip of the ball. I don't know. I never, and I guess because I've never given that kind of effort to playing. Like, I play basketball. Like, we play that. Lonnie and I play basketball off and on, consistent, for the most part. I've never been one to put energy into trying to break my neck to put a grip on a basketball.
Yes.
For me, it's mostly I'm trying to get the ball, get set up for a shot, and keep it moving. Not I'm trying to get a grip, a better handle of the ball to dominate as a big man, and still can't finish at the paint. I mean, finish at the lane or the rim, and can't make free throws. Like, that's the part where I'm still like aggressively in my feelings about the whole thing.
Yes. How?
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you need?
How much more advantage do you need?
How much grip do you need in basketball compared to football? Now, I can understand the football situation.
Yeah, football, but they wear gloves.
You don't want to grip the ball because you got to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
So what you want to grip the ball for?
And it's a video. I wish I could. I want to find it, but I also know I'd have to. That would be something that friends who know me would have to kind of find it and laugh at it later. It's a video that shows Paul Millsap at the free throw line getting ready to shoot the free throw. And before he could even attempt to shoot the ball, like he held the ball and had this weird look in his face like, what the hell is this on the ball? And he threw it back to the referee and was like, all right. And I think they literally had to like take almost like it was a commercial break in the midst of the game to get the ball resituated or get another ball for the game. So I don't get the whole ball thing trying to do the stick 'em, but I thought that was like a funny story to kind of throw in. But I guess we'll have to just see how this all plays out and if it's even worth doing in the long haul. So go ahead.
Yeah, I saw something that kind of, got a quick question.
Okay.
I saw Oregon beat Duke last night.
Right.
Now, I see on ESPN they got Coach K whispered to one of the players on Oregon team because he shot the three when it was like 10 seconds to go in the game. They was already up by at least 12 or 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
He shot it, happened to make it. Mind you, also, this guy been busting Duke ass all night.
The whole game, yeah.
So he shot it at the end of the buzzer, game over. He so happens he made it.
Yeah.
And the huddle, shake hands, give each other 5 at the end of the game. Grayson Allen didn't shake his hand, give him 5-0. He was pissed.
Yeah.
Coach K grabbed the guy, from Oregon and whispered in his ear and told him that you too good of a player to be showboating like that. Now, here's my question.
I heard, and I briefly remember reading this story. Go ahead. I want to hear. This is intriguing. I want to hear this one.
Here's my question.
Okay.
I understand you, Coach K, and that goes for any good, great coach, anything.
Yep. Roy Williams, Bill Self.
What gives you the right? If that's how that player is or whatever, so be it. The game is over. Now, if he would have missed it, then what? It wouldn't have been a problem.
Right.
He wouldn't have pulled me to the side and whispered in my ear and gave me a lecture.
Yeah.
But it went in. Even though I was busting your ass this whole night, I understand where you're coming from. My question is, what gives a coach a right, or any player, any coach in any sport, the coach,
to be in their feelings?
Yeah, to be in their feelings. And the coach basically coach another player, another team player.
Yeah.
How would you react to that?
I personally feel like this.
Coach K, get out my face?
No, I'd be like, sir, with all due respect, this is basketball. You can't sit and expect. Okay, I feel like, and this is kind of going to be a bad reference, but it's kind of going to be a way of me like making the simplest point. Remember, I don't know. I think it was earlier this year. It was a few months ago, and you might not remember the story. There was a girls' game that went on where these two girl teams played against each other, and the final score was 100-something to 2.
I seen that. I remember that.
Does the losing coach go up to the winning coach's team? I mean, to the winning coach and say, or the winning team and say, y'all should have stopped scoring after y'all got 50?
You should have stopped.
That ain't you play like, and okay. Both of and the reason I'm comparing this to that situation is because they're both similar situations. The girls' game was a playoff game, so this is a playoff team that's supposed to be a good team. Mm-hmm. You're Duke. Mm-hmm. You don't like. Duke was known, if you go back and look in the history of, and we've watched enough college basketball to confirm this. Duke was known as the team that would come out, do the practices, and run out on the court, wouldn't have no names on the back of the jerseys. Now it's the name on the back of the jersey, and now it's like, okay, you Duke, you still gonna be Duke, you still known as a Blue Devil, regardless. Mm-hmm. So you mad about losing the game. You gotta understand that comes with the game, though.
Do you think Coach K talked to Grant Hill when he used to catch the dunks from the other Hill boy?
Right.
Or Christian Laettner when he hit that buzzer beat on.
Yeah, like, I mean, the coach from LSU didn't come over and talk to Christian Laettner and say, hey, you ain't had to do Shaq like that the way you did. Because, I mean, it's not like you have to understand what a sport means. You're going to win, but you're also going to have to take that. Look, we took it in the face. That's bottom line. That's what happened. We lost the game. We played our hardest, but the better team won. And I feel like Coach K had that. This might be the best way to answer the question that you mainly asked. I feel like Coach K had a sore losing moment. Mm-hmm. But if you had a sore losing moment, it's much more respect to own up to it than to try and put it on, oh, well, y'all shouldn't have kept scoring points. You shouldn't have let us keep scoring points. Like, if the game is still going, unless it's a 24-second shot, if it's no shot clock, in college it's 35 or whatever, but if there's no shot clock and you shoot it, okay, you just adding it to, that's like, hey, you on the court, you playing the game, so you take what come with the game. Mm-hmm. But you can't sit down there and, like, get mad. Like, be respectful towards the game. If it was I guess it's coming back to what you said. If it was Grayson Allen or Brandon Ingram hitting the jump shot at the end, and they up by 50.
Speaking of Grayson Allen, prime scenario. Do you think Coach K pulled Grayson Allen to the side
when he clipped up the dude from Florida State? Yeah. No, he didn't.
But you pulled me to the side for jacking the 10 feet away from the 3-point line, half court, and I just happened to make it with 10 seconds left in the game when we were already beating you down by 15.
But like you said, if he had missed it, this wouldn't like the thing with the media, and this is like I'm chipping close to my closeout. I feel like this is like, so I guess my other topics I'm doing I'll change later, but this won't be. I guess this will be my like official welcome back sports podcast. So we're gonna just rock these last 4 minutes on just going into this topic because I feel like it's how sports is interpreted but not accepted. Where we like to see people win how they want to win or lose how they want to lose. Let's go back to a few years ago before LeBron made the decision when he was in Boston and they lost that game against Boston and he took off his jersey. He didn't shake anybody's hand. He didn't do anything. Scrutiny across the board, but then all of a sudden I'm taking my talents to South Beach and everything was fine.
He was the bad guy.
He was the bad guy. He was the bad guy when he won the 2 championships. He was the bad guy when he went back to Cleveland. Now he's the bad guy because he wants to get a super team again. And this time it's a much different super team because he wants to get Carmelo and Chris Paul. You want to ask the question, are you helping them to get a ring? What's the question?
I got a question. What team they going to play
on? The key factor is they're going to, he said he's taking a pay cut.
For what team?
It won't be Cleveland.
Nobody came to play with LeBron willingly.
No.
Kevin Love came in a trade.
Kevin Love came because of Andrew Wiggins.
So, I mean...
and going back to that, I feel like we missed it. Like, everybody skips over that. Like, no one really takes into account that we never will know how Andrew Wiggins and LeBron James would have been playing together. Because you think if you have Wiggins, LeBron, and Kyrie, no disrespect to Kevin Love, because Kevin Love really wanted out of Minnesota strictly because he wasn't getting... Kevin Love was getting the money, and he was getting the points, and he was getting the credit as far as all-star appearances, but he wasn't getting that win or getting that worthwhile, like, glory of victory while being there. Yeah. So because of that, Minnesota turned into being molded into a young team. And that's why they got... I'm trying to remember who they got the year when they drafted Wiggins, or when Cleveland drafted Wiggins. I don't know who Minnesota got in that draft. But after that, they pretty much were getting young players. Like Karl Anthony Towns is a development. Like, nothing against him. He's a good player, but he's a development. You just don't... it's not me, like, veering off from the question. I just feel like the game is treated differently as to how certain players get the treatment. Like, coming back to the college side of it, I got nothing but respect for Grayson Allen. I have nothing but respect for Duke. But in the same token, you can't be Duke and not understand that you're going to get your licks, or you're gonna get your people gonna come at you because you Duke. Yep. And I think Oregon had 2 things to prove in the tournament. And I'm in the last minute, and I'm gonna close it on this, and you give your thoughts, and we're gonna close it out. They had to come in proving, number one, they deserve to be a number 1 seed, and number 2, and most importantly, they had to confirm and letting teams and letting other players know that, hey, we didn't just dominate the Pac-12 for no reason. Like, we really are here to show you all that we belong here. So that's just how the game go. But I truly just see nothing but good things. So I got a 30-second crush that I'm going to rush into. Thank you all for listening. Sorry for ending so weird. We went into the sports tangent, and you know how I go. And if certain people talk about sports, we can turn the podcast into like 2 hours. Hopefully, as time progresses, I'll be pushing this podcast to be longer, bigger, stronger, and better. I know I'm giving like the major aggressive ending, but I appreciate my boy having me at his house to do this joint. You got anything you want to close out with?
Nope, can't wait to do it again.
Word up. All right, y'all catch y'all later. Peace out. BT Brian Tay podcast signing out.